purpose of the speech today is actually to inform you what the Stand Your Ground law is and the debate surrounding it. 2 children and 1 man diagnosed with Alzheimer's have been killed in the last 2 years, with the defendants claiming self-defense on the basis of the Stand Your Ground law. The gun control fight and the Stand Your Ground law fight are 2 different fights, but they have joined together because they directly affect each other. And the outcome of the debate for the Stand Your Ground law will probably affect our gun control rights, or negatively or positively. Since the killing of Trayvon Martin, this boy right here, in 2012, it's caught the attention of President Obama and other national political figureheads. Whether you agree or don't agree, whether you believe it's racially motivated, whether you believe it requires amendments to the law to make it better or to completely remove it from the books, I'm here to let you know the sides of the debate. We're first going to discuss the racism or the possible racial motivation of Stand Your Ground laws. Per the Christian Science Monitor, there is a racial component to this law, and the Tampa Bay Times actually gave the statistics of when there is a white defendant that have killed a black person and has claimed self-defense, 73% of the white defendants walk. When there have been black defendants with white victims, 59% of the black defendants have walked. The U.S. News Digital Weekly claims that when whites kill blacks, 36% of those murders have been deemed justified by the courts. When blacks have killed whites, only 3% of those murders have been justified. That is a staggering 33% difference with the same claim, with the same defense, just the difference of races. In her interview with USA Today, Lucia McBeth, who is the mother of Jordan Davis, who was a 16-year-old that was killed just in 2012, doesn't believe that the actual law is completely racially motivated. She believes it's culturally. She believes it's shoot first, ask questions later. She believes that the law should specify and make it clear the difference between feeling threatened and being a life-threatening situation. She believes that the law empowers emotional people to grab a gun and end a resolution instead of actually creating or coming to a more peaceful resolution. Davis's father says that Stand Your Ground laws, in combination with the push from the NRA on gun rights, actually creates a situation, a dangerous situation for young men to become a target as collateral damage while the political race and rage goes on. Just so you know, a white man in his 40-something killed Jordan Davis because of loud rap music at a gas station. A Mexican man, George Zimmerman, killed, I believe he was 17-year-old Trayvon Martin because he thought he was threatening when he came from a store carrying iced tea and Skittles. However, on the flip side of that, Marissa Alexander is a black woman. She shot a warning shot, did not hurt or kill anyone. She shot a warning shot at his estranged husband in a domestic situation and got sentenced to 20 years. There have been 26 states that have adopted the Stand Your Ground law, or a version of it, whether it be, I think it's line in the sand and no duty to retreat laws. What the laws basically mean is that if you feel threatened, if you're abiding by laws and you feel threatened in a public area or any area, and you have no duty to retreat, and you have the right to stand your ground. Use any force, even deadly force. The actual Stand Your Ground laws is an adaptation of the Castle Doctrine, which basically says the same thing. You don't have to retreat, you can stand your ground, but the doctrine is actually only for in your home, not in public. The debate is how clear the law is, or if it's clear enough to avoid unnecessary force and the consequential deaths. Since the Trayvon murder in 2012, no states have actually added any new laws for Stand Your Ground, which is actually a change. Prior to his murder, there was a massive rush for states to get these signed into law. This is again going to affect the tighter gun control laws. Per the Christian Science Monitor, the Florida lawmaker is using databases to curb the use of self-defense if the defendant is claiming self-defense, but he was the one that provoked the confrontation, which is what the debate was in George Zimmerman in the Trayvon murder case. Strong self-defense states like Georgia and Florida have the gun rights, or the gun fight has actually been spurred on by the stand your ground laws, because basically all of the violence that's spurred from those two states are guns and were death by gun, so obviously it's going to affect it. The question is if the greater gun controls or greater gun rights is causing a safe situation or a violent situation. Per the U.S. News, a Texas A&M study studied more than 20 states that had a stand your ground law in place. They showed no decrease in violent acts such as robbery, burglary, or aggravated assault, but they did see an 8% spike in non-negligent manslaughters and murders, which could also go together with the stand your ground law. So, the problem with, or some of them say, the problem with this law is the fact that you only get one side, the person who shot the other person. So, they can determine at the time of what's going on if they felt threatened enough to use deadly force, but there's nobody to prove them wrong. Per the Augusta Chronicle, every law-abiding citizen has the right to protect themselves, regardless of where they are. They believe that it does not matter where you are. If you feel threatened enough, you can use force. If that force is deadly, the force is just deadly. The House Minority Leader, Todd Rutherford, says that it's a natural right for an individual to protect themselves, and that no legal obligation or law should hinder them from doing that. He's one of few that believe that the law shouldn't be changed. While he agrees that some instances a flight reaction is better than a fight reaction, that all depends on the situation, and there's nobody can really say which situation is greater because they're not in that situation. Some laws or some states have submitted requests to changes of the law. None have been passed, which, like the representative said, they want to basically say if you use self-defense, you can't be the one that started the fight. Even President Obama, Senator John McCain, and our Attorney General have said that there's any law in place that creates a conflict in our communities in a dangerous situation, it should be questioned. Not that they're saying it should be removed or changed, but it should be questioned. Per Benjamin Jealous, who is the president and CEO of the NAACP, believes that the law should be removed completely, and that if somebody kills somebody in a self-defense, it's self-defense, and they shouldn't be protected by law. If it's self-defense, it's self-defense. If they can prove it, they can prove it. America is in conflict over gun control laws. They're also in conflict of if guns should really be used as a self-defense tool. Whether you can agree with any side, whether you think that it's racially motivated, whether you think it's changes are required or anything, everybody can agree that nobody wants any unwarranted deaths of any children, but how do we get there? Is it a law issue? Is it a racial issue? Is it a gun control issue? Or is it a self-control issue of some emotional and over-aggressive adults? The question is an irresponsible action by a few people going to change the gun rights for all of us? Should it even attempt to change anything that we do with gun rights? More kids, are they going to die while their murderers walk free claiming self-defense? Is it a nationwide problem, or is it a problem in the historically racist South of the United States? I believe personally the Constitution protects our rights to bear arms. I have guns. Many people have guns, and I believe we should have a right to have them. But I don't believe that anybody has a right to take a life if there's another option. So, at this point, we're in a situation, we're still going through the debates, and the fight will still rage on. Unfortunately, adults have to make examples or set examples for the children, and right now they're making an example that's very dangerous for the next generation. So, we'll see. The fight rages on, so we'll see how it affects not only our laws, but actually our ability to keep our guns. Thank you.